Hey everybody, Mr. Schreiber here, and we are going to continue our learning on linear equations. I hope you guys are doing wonderful. I've been working with this for a little while now, and for some reason I got all dolled up, did my hair, looking good, took a shower even, and for some reason I can't get the little video on the bottom right, so we're going to have to do this sans video. So today we're going to be learning how to find slope when you only have 2 points. So if we take a look here, here's the very first problem of this. And the goal of this is that I would like you guys to try to figure out the formula to solve this before I show you. So that's going to be kind of the goal today. We want you guys to figure out the formula before I show you. I'm going to show you guys an example, and then slowly I'd like you to kind of pause if you need to be able to find the formula. So here's a typical problem you're going to see on your checkout. You're not going to have this graph. It's not going to be there. And it's only going to give you this. It's going to say the slope of the line, or find the slope of the line, passing through the points 4, 8, and 1, 4. So it just gives you 2 points here, and you have to find the slope. So what you could do, but we're not going to do, and this is going to help you to understand the formula, is you could just make your own graph, right? You could make your own graph, and we could plot these points, which is what we're going to do right now. And it's going to help you to understand the formula on your own. So how about we just take the point 4, 8. So go look at my cursor here. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is your X. This is your Y. Actually, what am I doing? I should be using my super awesome tool. Here we go. Okay. So we're going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to go up 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to put a dot there, and I'm going to label that. That is 4, 8. And today's lesson is really easy when you know the formula, but again, I would really like you guys to figure out the formula on your own before I tell you. So there's our first point, 4, 8. This is your X, this is your Y, and B is 1, 4. This is your X and this is your Y. So we're going to go over 1 and then up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, this is your X, this is your Y, and this is your X, and this is your Y. And you always, if you guys don't remember, I always would teach kids Superman has to run before he can fly. So he always has to run over 4, go up 8, run over 1, go up 4. But that's kind of up to you. I know some people use some different things. So we're going to label this 1, 4. And if I said, once again, what are we trying to find here? We're trying to find the slope. You could do this. You could say, okay, Mr. Schreiber, here's your line. And then from here, you could use what you learned last week. You learned last week that to find the slope, it is always, I'm going to put this over here, it's always rise over run. Rise over run gives you the slope. And you can use that here. Just make your own graph, and let's solve that. So let's solve rise. We're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to rise up 4, and we're going to run over 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you could do this, and your answer would be the slope of this is 4 over 3. And guess what? You would be right. That is correct. But today's lesson is all about how can you find the slope if you don't have this graph. If you don't have this graph, but you just have these 2 points, there's this formula that you can use. And so I'm going to give you hints for the next couple minutes right now, because after you know the formula, it's really, really easy to solve this. But again, I'm not going to just tell you the formula. I want to see if you can come up with it on your own. So here we go. I'm going to give you your first hint is how can you look at these numbers? Look at these numbers here, 1 and 4. And look at these numbers here, 4 and 8. And what do you think we have to do to get the number 4? How can you use these numbers here, 1 and 4 and 4 and 8, and how can you see the relationship between these numbers to get the number 4? And then how can you use those numbers to get the number 3? Now, before we do that, let's just take a look. Let's forget about the run, and let's just focus on the rise. And what do you notice about the number 4 and how you got the number 4? Well, Didn't we start, let's just look at our y. Didn't we start at 4 here? This is just your y. We went up 4, and then we ended at 8. So just look at your y's here. We ended at 8. So just taking a look here, this is your y, and this is your y. What do you think you do with the 8 and 4 to be able to get the rise, which is 4? So I want you to think about that. What do you think you do with the number 8 and the number 4? And then second, the run, you know, is 3. The run is 3. So I'm going to erase this here. Hopefully you figured out what do you do with the 8 and 4 to get the 4, which is the rise. And then what do you do with your x's? Here's your x here, and here's your other x here. And then doesn't the x start at 1 here? If you look right here, that's your x is 1. You went over 1, and then you went over 4 here. What do you do with 4 and 1 to get the 3? And then when you do that, hopefully you guys realized. If you haven't, I want you to pause it for a second. Who realized that if you take the 8 and you subtract the 4, doesn't that give you the rise, which is 4? And then who realizes that the x, if you went over 1 here and then you went over 4, you just take 4 minus 1 to give you your 3, which gives you your slope. And if you figured that out, then guys, you basically found out the formula. The problem with this is how do you write the formula? Because we have these numbers here, 8 minus 4 and 4 minus 1, that gives you the slope. And what you have to do is you have to label these variables. So we're going to call this x2 and y2. And we're going to call this x1 and y1. And if you just plug in your numbers, what does 8 stand for? Well, 8 is y2. And what do? You take y2 and you subtract it from y1. And that, let me get that out of the way. That will give you the rise. And then what do you do to find the run? Well, if the run is 3, didn't you take 4 minus the 1? Didn't you take the 4, which is the x2? And didn't you subtract it, the 4 minus the 1, to give you the 3? And so you take away x2 minus x1. And guys, this is the formula for slope when you are given 2 points. And some of you guys, if you figured that out, I could have just told you the formula and we can move on, but I would rather you guys understand that the reason why we have that is because when you plug in these numbers and subtract, that will always give you the slope. So this is the big formula that you guys have to learn. You have to memorize this one. It's y2 y1 over x2 minus x1. And by the way, it actually doesn't matter. I'm going to write this down. If you're taking notes, which you should be, that this is what I really want you to know, or it doesn't really matter. You can take y1 minus y2, and you can take that x1 minus x2. This will also work. This will also give you the slope. It doesn't matter how you write this. We normally do it this way. There's a reason for it. It's because this thing always comes up, and I've tried to figure out how to get rid of that, and I can't figure it out. But we always write it this way because a lot of times this gives you 2 negative numbers, which is perfectly fine. You can still solve it that way. We normally use this one right here, but you can also use this one. What I don't want you guys to do is you can never use this. You can never take y2 minus y1 over x1 minus y2. These have to line up together. So you can use this or this. You cannot use that. You have to line up your y's and your x's together. And so the best way to understand this, guys, is to do some examples. So we're going to take a few examples here. It says, find the slope of the line passing through the points 4, 8, and 1, 4. We already did that one. Let's take on number 2. It says, find the slope of the line passing through the points P, which is going to be 2, 5, and Q, which is 8, 2. And again, what we could do is we could make a graph of this, and you could find the slope that way. But we're not going to do that. we're going to first label this. How about we label this as x1, and this is your y1, and we're going to label this as x2 and y2, okay? And then all we're going to do is use our formula. And again, our formula, you want to write this down, is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And it makes sense. Isn't this the rise over run? Rise over run, this is the rise, right? Y goes up and down, and left to right, which is the run, is always going to be your x. And again, this gives you the slope. This is what we're trying to find. We're trying to find the slope. So all you have to do is, once you know this formula, guys, you can just plug the numbers in and you got it. So what is your y2? Let's go over here. That's going to be the number 2. So 2 minus y1 is 5. And I highly recommend every time that you label, because if you're like me, it's very easy to make mistakes. So 2 minus 5, and x2 is 8, minus x1, which is 2, and that's going to be 2 minus 5, which is negative 3, and 8 minus 2, which is going to be 6, and we're going to always put that in simplest form as negative 1 over 2. Okay, that's going to give you the right answer. I just want to show you guys something. You could have used also this formula, y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. It doesn't matter how you do it, as long as you guys put them in order. Let's just do that real quick. It'll give us, it should, hopefully Mr. Schreiber's right on this one. It's going to give us the same answer. So 5 minus 2 is x1 is 2 minus 8. And watch what happens. 5 minus 2. Now that's a positive 3, right? But what's 2 minus 8? That's a negative 6. And doesn't that give you the same exact answer? And guys, once again, let's circle our answer. That's going to be slope. Again, what we're trying to find every single time is the slope, which is rise over run. And again, what's our lesson for the day is, if I just give you 2 points, could you find the slope? And the answer is yes, you can, by using this formula. All right, let's take on another one. It says find the slope of the line passing through each pair of points. We have m, which is negative 2, 0, and n, which is 0 and 4. Very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to label this as x1, I'm sorry, don't do that. x1 and y1, and this is going to be x2, and that's going to be y2. And again, it doesn't matter how you label this. You could say this is x2 and y2. This is x1 and y1. It doesn't matter. It's still going to give you the right information as long as you label this correctly. So let's first write the formula. I always like to write the formula first, which is I like to put y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And again, it doesn't matter. If you want to use y1 minus y2, that's perfectly fine. Let's plug this in. y2 is 4 minus y1, which is 0. x2 is 0 minus, and this x right here is going to be a negative 2. Watch how I put that in parentheses, guys. It's going to be important. This is the big mistake a lot of people make. A lot of people understand this pretty simply. Mr. Schreiber, I got a formula, I can do it. But then when they try to plug in the negative, they make a mistake. So I always like to stop and double check. y2 minus y1, so 4 minus 0 is 4. And 0 here minus a negative 2, we're going to make that plus a positive, because minus a negative makes that plus a positive. It's like taking away a negative, makes it positive. Gives you a 2, and your slope will be 2 over 1. Or if you want to say the slope is 2, we're going to take that as an answer. So we're going to say 2 over 1, or if you say the slope is 2, that is going to be your answer. Okay? And you guys are welcome to try this the other way. y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2 will still give you the same answer. Okay? Here we go. Let's take on one more. We have negative 5 and 8 and negative 2 and 2. We have to find the slope of the line passing through S and T. So we're going to label this x1, label this y1. And I would like you guys to maybe stop right now. Maybe you want to pause it and I want to see if you can solve this one on your own. That's going to be the best way to determine, do you understand this or not, is to solve this right now on your own. So again, we're going to use that, and we're going to say, okay, y2 minus y1. I always get in the habit of using the 2's first. And again, this will give you slope, and let's plug it in. 2 minus the 8, we're just plugging in our numbers here. And x2 is -2, and x1 is a negative, so minus a -5. It sometimes helps to always put it in parentheses anytime you have a negative number. It helps to do that so you don't make a mistake. And here we go. 2 minus 8 is a -6. And make that plus a positive. -2 plus 5 is going to be a +3. And you guys can say that the slope is -2 or -2 over 1. Again, you always want to put this in simplest form, and that's going to be our slope. And we could graph this, and you guys can see that it will always work. It always goes down, -2 over 1. So I think that is, if I'm not mistaken, that one's it. I want to show you one more thing before you take off. I want to show you guys the other way. So you guys could say, we got the answer. Just remember, it's -2. That should be the answer. Actually, you know what? This is messing up on me. So I guess we're going to have to end here. So you guys are all done. What I'd like you to do now is, if you would, it's going to come up hopefully some, is use this video to kind of help you. Just remember this formula. You're going to have to write this formula every time. I'd like to see that. I'd like you to do that. I'm not going to be able to see it, but I'd like you to do that. And just remember y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That will help you to be able to solve these, do your checkout problems, and then contact me on Schoology about anything you need help with. We're going to do another conference next week. I may be doing it a little bit later, like on a Thursday or maybe a Friday, if you guys need help. But if you guys really need help, reach out and I'll see what I can do to kind of help you out. Okay, guys, hope you're doing great. And hopefully, again, that I get to see you soon.